The tour had been running for 7 weeks, 14 cities, 14 shows. The final chapter of Modern Talking performed live, though nobody in the audience knew it was final. The press releases hadn't said farewell. The tour hadn't been marketed as ending. Just Modern Talking, reunion tour, the music, the experience. Come and remember, come and feel it again. The audiences had come, arenas, full, every city, every show. The phenomenon still present. The connection still real, 18 years of music still alive in the people who had grown up with it, who had fallen in love to it, who had carried it through their own lives and returned to it now in a dark arena with thousands of strangers who had also carried it. The music still working, the partnership still functioning, professionally, flawlessly, as it always had. Dieter Bohlen and Thomas Anders giving everything required on stage. Every show, every city, every performance, professional excellence maintained across 7 weeks, 14 cities, 14 shows, and now the 15th, the last, tomorrow night. The city didn't know it was witnessing the end. The venue didn't know the show it was hosting was the final Modern Talking performance. The crew knew, had been told that morning, quietly, practically, no ceremony. Just this is the last show, make it right. The manager knew, had known for weeks, had negotiated the ending, had managed the dissolution already happening in the background, legal, financial, professional, the ending being executed with the same professional efficiency that had characterized everything else. Dieter knew, had known since before the tour started, had written the tour setlist knowing it was a farewell setlist, had organized the final shows with that awareness. The last city chosen deliberately, meaningful to him, a place where Modern Talking had first broken through, a place that felt like beginning, making the end return to the beginning. Thomas knew, had signed the dissolution papers before the tour, had agreed, had accepted, had made peace mostly with what ending meant. Had decided to honor the tour, to give every show everything, not to let the knowledge of ending contaminate the performance, to perform as though the music didn't know it was finishing. Let the audience have what they came for. That was professional. That was Thomas Anders. That was how he operated. Tonight, separate hotels, same city, 2 miles apart. Professional standard maintained to the end. Dieter Bohlen always insisted on separate accommodations, separate schedules, clear boundaries between professional collaboration and personal space. Even on tour, even on 14 shows across 7 weeks, even on the last night, Thomas had his hotel, Dieter had his hotel, 2 miles of city between them. The same city, the same awareness, the same night. Thomas's hotel, room 847, 8th floor. Window facing the city, 10:47 p.m. The show was tomorrow at 8 p.m., standard pre-show night. He'd done this dozens of times, hundreds, the night before a performance. The hotel room ritual, specific and personal, same process every time, vocal rest, light dinner early. Review of the set list, not because he needed to, knew every song by heart, but because the reviewing. His ritual was preparation, was the way his mind organized itself before performance. He'd reviewed the setlist earlier, all 14 songs, every transition, every key change, every moment in the show where he knew something specific needed to happen. He knew the show completely, was prepared, was ready, his voice was good. 7 weeks of touring hadn't damaged it. He protected it carefully, properly, professionally, as always. He was ready for tomorrow, technically ready. Professionally prepared, the performance would be what it needed to be. He was certain of that. He lay on the bed, lights low, television off, the city sounds outside, traffic, distant, muffled by good hotel windows, the sounds of a city not knowing what tomorrow contained, not knowing that tomorrow night something was ending that had begun 18 years ago and had run its complicated course and was now arriving at its final public expression. The city just living, being, continuing, as cities do. Thomas looked at the ceiling, thinking, not about the show. The show was prepared. The show was tomorrow. Tonight, thinking about everything else, about 18 years, about what they had built. The songs, the records, the tour, the phenomenon, Modern Talking, what it had meant to people. What it had meant to him, the career it had given him, the identity it had created. The music, and this he believed completely, the music that had genuinely moved people, that had connected, that had mattered, to millions of people in dozens of countries who had heard it and felt something real. That was not nothing, that was actually extraordinary, whatever the complications, whatever the dysfunction, whatever the distance and the silences and the things never said. The music, real. The connection to audiences, genuine. The achievement, undeniable. He was proud of it, genuinely, completely, without complication. He was proud. The complications existed alongside the pride, both true, neither canceling the other. He was proud of what modern talking had been. He was also tired of what modern talking had required. Both, always both. He reached for his phone, on the nightstand, standard hotel nightstand. The phone sitting there as phones do, ordinary object. He picked it up, looked at it, opened the contacts, scrolled, found the name, Dieter Bohlen, the number he'd had for years, used for practical things, logistics. Schedule confirmations, professional communication. He looked at the name, thought, should I call? Not for logistics, not for tomorrow's schedule. The schedule was known, the call time established, everything arranged. Should I call because tomorrow is the last time? Because whatever this was, this partnership, this phenomenon, this complicated professional relationship built on musical chemistry and personal distance, it is ending tomorrow night. Should I call and say, I know what tomorrow is, I know what it means, I wanted to acknowledge it, with you, directly, before it ends? He held the phone, the name on the screen, Dieter Bohlen, 2 miles away in another hotel room. 2 miles and 18 years and 1,000 sessions and 100 shows and all the things said and unsaid and all the distance maintained and all. The music made 2 miles. He held the phone, set it down, didn't call. Dieter's hotel, room 612, 6th floor, window facing a different direction. 11:23 p.m. He was still working, habit of a lifetime. The hours between 10 p.m. and 2 am often his most productive. When silence descended, when the practical demands of the day receded, when the mind could focus on what mattered, music, always music. He had his keyboard with him, a small portable one, always traveled with it. Every tour, every trip, ideas arrived unexpectedly, required immediate capture. The portable keyboard, the tool for capture. He had been playing, nothing specific, just exploring harmonic patterns, melodic fragments, the way a composer's mind moves when not directed toward a specific task, just exploring the space of sound. Seeing what was there, what emerged, what wanted to exist. In another context, at another time, this exploring might have become the foundation of a new song, a new project, new modern talking material. But there would be no new modern talking material. Tomorrow was the last show, the last performance. After tomorrow, dissolution, professional closure, each person to their own separate future, new projects, new contexts, new music without this configuration. This specific combination of his compositions and Thomas's voice, this particular chemistry, no more. After tomorrow, he stopped playing, sat with the silence, looked out the window, the city from the 6th floor, different view from Thomas's 8th floor across the city, same night, same awareness. He thought about tomorrow, the show. The set list, the production, every technical element arranged. He'd reviewed the lighting cues that afternoon, checked the sound setup, walked the stage, his professional preparation complete. He knew the show, was ready for it, it would be excellent. He was certain of that, it would be exactly what it needed to be. Whatever else tomorrow meant, the show would be right. He would make sure of it, was how he always operated. How he'd operated for 18 years, the work would be right. Whatever else was happening, the work was always right. He thought about the 18 years, the compositions, the productions, the catalog they'd built together. 30 years of pop music history and modern talking occupied a specific and undeniable place in it. He had built that, they had built that, whatever the complications. And there were complications, had always been complications. The work was real. The achievement was genuine. The music had connected, had mattered, had endured. That was real, that was his, that was theirs. He was satisfied with it. The deep professional satisfaction of work that achieved what it aimed for, more than achieved, exceeded. The thing built was larger than the plans for it, more enduring, more resonant, more meaningful to more people than any reasonable projection could have predicted. That was rare. He knew it was rare. He felt the weight and the privilege of that rarity. He looked at his phone, on the desk beside the portable keyboard, picked it up, opened contacts, Thomas Anders, the number used for logistics, for scheduling, for the practical necessities of shared professional life. He looked at the name, thought, should I call? Not for tomorrow's schedule. Everything was arranged. Should I call because tomorrow is the last performance? Because after tomorrow this is finished? Because 18 years of this particular combination of his composition and Thomas's voice ends tomorrow night in an arena full of people who don't know they're witnessing the end? Should I call and say, tomorrow will be excellent? I know it will be excellent. I want to say that. I want to say something that acknowledges the magnitude, that matches the 18 years. He held the phone, Thomas Anders, the name in the contact list, across the city, 8th floor, 2 miles. He held the phone, set it down, didn't call, midnight, Thomas still awake in room 847. The city quieter now, later, the traffic reduced, the sounds. The city settling toward sleep. He put his phone down an hour ago, hadn't picked it up again, was thinking about the first show, not this tour's first show. The first show, 1985, first major concert, first arena, the size of it, the audience responding, the experience of performing modern talking music for thousands of people who knew every word, who sang along, who needed it somehow, who had connected to the music in ways he could feel from the stage. That first show, something he'd never forgotten, something that had told him clearly what this project was and what it meant and why it mattered. He thought about the tour between then and now, 1985 to 1987, 1998 to 2003, the shows, the cities, the audiences, the nights, the experience of being modern talking on stage, which was different from being modern. Talking in a studio, on stage the complications receded. The distance between him and Dieter, professional, personal, fundamental, became irrelevant. On stage, just the music, just the performance, just the connection to the audience, the thing that worked, that always worked, whatever else didn't. He wondered if Dieter was sleeping. Probably not. Dieter worked late, always had. The hours when the world quieted were his most active hours. He was probably at his keyboard, exploring something, building something, even tonight, even the night before the last show. That was Dieter, that was how he processed, through music, through work, through the constant productive activity that was both his strength and his distance. Thomas felt something, not exactly fondness, not exactly its opposite, something more complicated, the specific feeling of long familiarity with a person you have never quite reached, the specific ache of proximity without connection, the recognition of someone you know completely professionally and barely at all personally. That feeling, specific, complex, his. He looked at his phone on the nightstand, didn't reach for it. Dieter was probably working. The call would interrupt something, would require conversation neither of them knew how to have. Would require words for which neither had adequate language, would require emotion that neither had learned to express to each other, would probably result in, is everything arranged for tomorrow? Yes, call time is 9. Good, and nothing more, the magnitude of the night unmarked, the ending unacknowledged, the 18 years unsummarized, because that was their language, that was always their language, the practical, the logistical, the professional. He closed his eyes. Tomorrow the show would be perfect, he was certain. The music would be what it always was, the audience would feel what they came to feel. Modern talking would end the way it had always been, the work excellent, the music real, whatever the complications. Thomas slept, Dieter at his keyboard, 12:30 a.m., still exploring. A melody had emerged in the last hour, something interesting, something he wanted to follow. He was following it, taking it somewhere, seeing where it led. This was always how it worked. You followed the melody. You trusted the exploration. You let the music show you where it was going, this melody going somewhere unexpected, somewhere more melancholic than he'd anticipated. Minor key, slower tempo, something about endings, something about the way things that matter arrive at their conclusions. He played it again, listened. Yes, that was what it was, an ending melody, appropriate, fitting. Even unconscious creative work knew what the night contained. He thought about Thomas, wondered if he was sleeping, probably sleeping. Thomas organized his pre-show nights carefully. Vocal rest, proper sleep, 8 hours minimum. Protecting the instrument, that was Thomas, professional in that specific way, the disciplined preparation of a performer, different from Dieter's way of preparing, which was this, continued work, continued creation, finding the next melody even on the night before the last show. He wondered briefly what Thomas was thinking about. Was he thinking about tomorrow, about the end, about the same 18 years Dieter was turning over in his mind? Were they both awake in their respective hotel rooms, 2 miles apart, processing the same night from the same distance? Probably that would be like them, parallel experience, same thought, different rooms, no connection between the thoughts, no sharing, no calling, just each in their own room, each with their own version of the same night. That was always how it had been. He set down the keyboard, looked at his phone, didn't call, slept eventually. The melody saved for later, for whatever came after tomorrow, for the future that would begin after the last show, for the new work that would emerge from this ending. as work always emerged from endings. That was how it worked. That was always how it worked. Morning, 9 a.m. call time at the venue. Thomas arrived at 9:02 a.m. Dieter at 9:00 a.m. exactly. Morning, professional, normal, standard, no acknowledgement of the night, of the thoughts, of the phone picked up and set down, of the parallel solitudes across 2 miles of city, just the work, the sound check, the production walk through, the crew performing their functions, the venue preparing. The machinery of a professional concert advancing toward 8 p.m. The show was extraordinary, the audience full, fervent, knowing every lyric, singing along to every song, the connection between the music and the people who had carried it through their lives, alive and real and present in the arena. Thomas sang, his voice everything it needed to be. 7 weeks of touring and it remained excellent. Protected, cared for, professional, Dieter played, his productions as precise as always, his keyboard work exact, his compositions sounding the way he had built them to sound, together the chemistry that had always existed, that existed independent of everything else, the musical connection functioning as it had always functioned, separate from the personal, immune to the complications, unaffected by the distance. The final song, both knowing it was the last. The audience not knowing, the last note, the last chord, the applause, enormous, the audience wanting more, wanting it to continue, wanting modern talking to exist forever, wanting the music that had moved them to keep moving them. Thomas standing on stage, Dieter at his keyboards, both receiving the applause, both knowing what it was, the last time. After separate dressing rooms, separate exits, separate cars, same pattern, same as always, same as the first show, same as every show between, consistent to the end. In his car, Thomas thought about the night before. The phone picked up, the name on the screen, the call not made. Was it the right choice? The silence instead of the words. He didn't know, probably. It was their language. It had always been their language. The music said what conversation couldn't. The performance acknowledged what the phone call would have fumbled. The last show, perfect. The magnitude of the ending, honored through excellence, not words, through the music, as always through the music. That was modern talking. That was the answer. That had always been the answer. The call that didn't happen, also an answer. Silence, also a truth. The parallel solitudes in 2 hotels across 2 miles of city, also the story. The full story, the complete story, 2 people, same thought, different rooms, no call, perfect show, the end, as it had to be, as it always was, as it could only have been, for them, for modern talking, forever.